on. Oh, I feel like Beyonce. I can't see a thing. And there's a lot of smoke in my face. However, hello, I'm Femi. You've got a lot of great acts coming up tonight, comedians and dancers and singers and rappers. I tell short stories, I write flash fiction, very, very, very short stories. So I'm going to do a few for you now and I hope you enjoy them. Oh, thanks. How you started? Awesome. Okay, this first one is called Truth or Dare. They were playing Truth or Dare. Some couples play Monopoly on frosty evenings, but they like to have pillow fights, play two-man spin the bottle, and have a round of Truth or Dare. Adolescent games kept things fun, and when things were fun, they felt new. That was their philosophy. She always chose truth. She chose truth because she was scared of what he would dare her to do. The one and only time she chose and dared, she spent the night in a holding cell. Yeah, it was funny to him, but it wasn't to her until after she was released and adequately cooled off, as the officer put it. Since then, she'd only and always chosen truth. He mostly chose dare because he liked the thrill, but she was unable to dare him to do anything close to the level of outrageous he desired. I really can't see anyone, it's so strange. Okay. It's like when I tell stories to myself. I don't do that. Okay, this next one is called Zeus. She looked down at her hands, wiped her eyes, handed him a piece of plastic and asked him what they were going to do. He'd been arrogant without permission since he was a teenager, but he suddenly felt small. He'd wanted sex first. She wasn't fully ready, but he'd managed to persuade her to relax and trust him. He assured her they'd been making love, that he could only accurately express his feelings for her through physical closeness. He was a professional, adept at making women feel steady on grounds that was not there. Accustomed to these women eating the crumbs of every insincerity and an expert at keeping them hungry enough to stay for more. Well, just the night before, he put his lips next to her left ear and told her with soft breath that they were one. They were connected. His awareness of just how connected they were heightened as the blue line got darker. What are we going to do? He knew it was her choice. It was always the woman's choice. He told her so, but she kept asking, what are we going to do? He looked at her. She began to pace the floor. No. See, this baby was made with love, she said. I mean, if it was just a fling, if it was just sex, then she probably would have already decided to do the sensible thing, but all the words he whispered while they lay under covers, and all those times he'd been brave enough to share his feelings and encouraged her to share hers, all of those tender moments that had changed who they were. She couldn't end a life that was created during their pledge of eternal love. She wouldn't survive the guilt, unless he didn't mean those things. Thank you. Okay, this one is called Him. You might know him. He called from a private number. She picked up. He asked how she was. Good. She asked how he was. Great. They chatted for 10 minutes. He told her that work was a bore. She told him she was thinking of changing her hair colour. They laughed about the latest storyline in their favourite programme. He said they should meet up soon. She agreed. He hung up. She hung up. She had no idea who he was. Thank you, that's it. Yeah, that's it. You know that happens sometimes. Okay. You know, people call you and you're like, I just need to ask them a few more questions and then maybe I'll get to the... I don't know who that is. Don't agree to meet them though, because that's not good. Okay, so this is my last story. I'm pretty sure I know it by heart and I'm going to test myself by doing this. This may go wrong. So my name's Femi Martin. You can find me on Facebook under the name Femi Martin. On Twitter, I'm _TDH because I write a collection of stories under the name This Didn't Happen. That's the name of my fiction collection. It's an ongoing collection. I have about 150 short stories so far, and I will keep going as long as I can. So, yes, thank you very much. well, but... Okay, this story is called Said. He said something he shouldn't have said. She was dumbfounded by the words he'd chosen and astounded by his lack of awareness. As he nonchalantly changed the subject, she could do nothing more than look at him in bewilderment and slightly slacken jaw. She didn't say anything to him. She didn't know where to start, so she said nothing. And she continued to say nothing by ignoring his calls the following day. She hoped that he'd connect that silence with the silence he'd induced the previous night, and that out of those silences would come words of apology. She should have known better. She should have known that no amount of silence can fix a situation that requires words. That when words break something, only words can mend that thing. When he emailed her a year later, she was happy to hear from him. It was a shame he'd said something he shouldn't have said, and she considered talking to him about it. She consulted her friends first, not to gossip about him, but to talk about her predicament. And they were compassionate about her predicament, but unforgiving of him, the anonymous culprit who said something he shouldn't have said. A week later, through friendly conversation, she learned that one of her friends was also friends with the man who said something he shouldn't have said. For a moment, she could do nothing more than stand there bewildered, with slightly slackened jaw. But this time, she did something different. This time, she said something and revealed the identity of the man who said what he shouldn't have said to her unforgiving friends. She hoped that his reaction would save her from having to say something. That he'd say she must have imagined that the man had said something he shouldn't have said. And she'd say, he must be right. And then they'd laugh. But he really was unforgiving. Said man needed to be told not to say things that shouldn't be said. Said he'd be the one to tell him that. Said he'd say it in a way that would make sure that was the last time he ever said something that shouldn't be said. Well, she couldn't let that happen. She had to get to him first, but she didn't have much time. She didn't have much time, and time was as unforgiving as her friend. But now she had to say what she should have said to the man who said what he shouldn't have said, before her unforgiving friend told the man who said what he shouldn't have said what she had said and shouldn't have said, and should only have said to the man who said what he shouldn't have said. Shit. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm Femi. You've been a lovely crowd.